Calling the school committee to order Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. First item of business is our statement regarding recording.
This meeting will be recorded and will be posted to YouTube and other social media platforms. By participating in this meeting, you understand that the recording could contain your video stream or your audio stream, including the images of yourself or anyone in the room with you. If you choose to enable your video or audio device during the meeting, as well as anything or anyone else that may be in the background could be recorded. The recording could include any opinions you contribute and anything you say about yourself. On occasion, chat within the meeting could also be captured in the meeting recording. Therefore, anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not.
Thank you. Attendance, roll call for attendance, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Here.
Mr. Willanen?
Yep.
Ms. Kelly? Here. Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Here.
Mr. Wiggler? Who's not here. Ms. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Nutter?
Here.
Mr. Chairman?
Here. If there's no objection, I need to move a few items out of order this evening. And the first one is to go into executive session for the discussion strategy with respect to collective bargaining and strategy and preparation for negotiations for non-union personnel.
So moved.
Is there a motion to go in executive second?
Second.
And seconded. We will be back in about 20 minutes or so. There won't be that. That's what we suspect. Roll call to go into executive session, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willanen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Okay, good evening, and we're back in open session. And next order of business is reorganization of the school.
We'll open by accepting nominations for chairperson. Dr. Allen? Any other nominations?
Hi, Colleen.
Seeing and hearing none?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willanen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey? Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Chairman, Mr. Brophy?
Thank you. Yes. Again, thank you, and I'll do my best I can. Thank you. And nominations for vice chair.
Yeah. Chairman.
And Chamberlain, and a second. Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
Who seconded that?
Dr. Allen? Hearing none. Roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willanen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Wiggler, Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Appointment of parliamentarian through June 30th. Would be Sheila Muir would be nominated, Dr. Muir, the superintendent. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Okay, roll call.
I have about 25 sheets open on my spreadsheet tonight because of all the votes. Just give me a second.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willanen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Cartier? Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Appointment of parliamentarian effective July 1st forward, Colleen Muha.
So moved. Second.
So moved. Second. Roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Lannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. I'm going to take the last one out of order, and then we'll go back to the treasurer, assistant treasurer. Appointment of executive assistant, Jessica Bennett.
So move. Second.
And second it. Roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Lannon?
Yep.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Appointment of treasurer.
Mr. Chairman, later on the agenda, we have discussion of our new treasurer that I would bring forward. Do you want to do that now, as you did with the parliamentarian, or do you want to wait till later?
Your call.
I think we should do it the same way as we did the parliamentarian.
Okay.
Okay, so district treasurer at this time remains Ron Christensen,
Oh, Ron, okay. Yep.
and the assistant treasurer Kathleen Borsier.
Same, so move.
So moved, okay. Roll call.
Can we do one?
Yeah,
vote
I-
for both?
No,
We have to do them separately, I believe.
Second.
So we'll do the treasurer.
First.
You second it?
I second it.
Okay, Dr. Allen moved the motion. And for the treasurer, roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Lannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. And the appointment of the assistant treasurer and the name?
I did treasurer, I haven't done assistant.
Kathleen Borsier.
Kathleen Bossy. Okay, good.
Second.
Beautiful. Roll call?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps? Mr. Lannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This is.
Good. Okay, again, committee members, again, adjustment on the agenda. We have students today, as well as some items in regards to new business for approval. And if there's no objection to any school committee members, I'd like to take those out of order before we go back on for the approval of minutes and going through the agenda.
Good idea.
About the new treasurer, do you want
Oh,
to?
you want? I wasn't sure if you wanted me to go back to it.
We can do it later, Larry.
Okay, okay,
So we also have Student Advisory Council,
beautiful.
DECA trip and tracking. With the 3 students.
So if it's okay with committee members, let's do the Student Advisory Council first. Then we'll go down to the new business for the DECA and then the trips and things like that. Good. Good, Superintendent.
So I think Ms. DeMarias is going to introduce Mr. Whitelaw, who is our Student Advisory Council member. So Pranima, would you like to introduce Nick?
Yes, I can absolutely do that. Good evening, everyone. We have a wonderful student of ours, Nicholas Whitelaw, who has prepared a presentation sort of outlining his experience this year with the Student Advisory Council. Have we shared that with you? Dr. Muir, do you have that presenting?
I do, we're just unlocking it.
Okay, wonderful. Nick, if you are on, if you are here in school committee, if you want to say a few words about yourself, maybe what was your highlight of the year before you dive into the presentation? Nick has been wonderful to work with. He's extremely positive, energetic. I see him every morning as I'm welcoming students in the front door. He smiles and says good morning, and he's very much part of our student body. So Nick, you've had a unique experience working with the Student Advisory Council. Before we start with your presentation, if you can just introduce yourself and maybe how your year went and one takeaway from the Student Advisory Council before you dive in.
Okay, so I'm Nicholas Whitelaw. I'm currently a junior at Quabbin, and in 3 days I'll be a senior. And so I've been on the Student Advisory Council for the past 2 years by myself. Luckily this year we did elections, so now it'll be me and another student, a sophomore named Isabel Coviella. And I would have to say the highlight of this year was at the very beginning of the school year. I got to go all the way to Malden to the DESI building, and I got to attend a meeting there. It was 2.5 hours one way. That was a lot of gas, but and then we moved locations to Worcester Tech for those meetings. Got to do anything. So my sophomore year, this is just a brief overview. My sophomore year, 2021 to 2022, I served on my regional council, which is when I got elected, I automatically serve on my regional council. And then I was also an alternate delegate on the state council. Then this past year, I served as both a regional council delegate and a state council delegate. And next year, I will be serving as chair of my regional council. So this is just a visual so everybody can see what it is that I will be talking about today. So Massachusetts is divided up into 5 different regional councils. And then we use acronyms to talk about them because our meetings will probably go for another day if we have to physically stay on each and every one of these every time we are talking to each other. So we have the Western Massachusetts Regional Student Advisory Council, which we just agreed to when we're SAC. Then we have the Central Massachusetts Regional Student Advisory Council, which is SAC, which is where I go to for my meetings because we decide these. We have Northeast Regional Student Advisory Council, and they're SAC. Then we have Greater Boston Regional Student Advisory Council, which is GIBRSAC, and then we have the Southeast Regional Student Advisory Council, which is SURSAC. And then all of these regional councils elect 8 delegates to the state council, except for Greater Boston, which elects 12 because it has an abundance of kids in their districts. And then that essentially completes the Student Advisory Council. So I did an overview of both this past year and the year before. But so my first year, what we do is after we do elections, we elect chairs, people to the state council. We then divide up into work groups or subcommittees, where we then work on the specific issues that we see in our school systems and across Massachusetts. So for my regional council, back when COVID was a major issue, we all saw that there was kind of a digital divide in how some school districts had resources like Quad, where everybody got a Chromebook, everybody had Wi-Fi at school. But that was not the case for other schools across Massachusetts, where they had unlimited access to resources. So we we did research, we sent out surveys to our schools, and then we got students' perspectives on not only Chromebooks and their Wi-Fi in school, but also how technology has impacted their education and how much online usage is now becoming more of a thing. And then at the end of all of that, we then created a pamphlet in which we then recommended to the board that this pamphlet, I believe we recommended that this pamphlet be sent out to schools because it specifically outlined how to it outlined how to operate Chromebooks and how people, such as students, can troubleshoot and make sure that they can actually operate them correctly. And then one of the amazing things was we were able to work with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Office of Educational Technology. We talked with representatives from there to further our endeavors. And it was interesting because we were able to give them our perspective on how technology is impacting our education. Because they did tell us, we only see this from our point of view in the DESI building. We don't see this in schools. We aren't living near school lives, which was amazing to talk with. And then for the state council, there was the curriculum reform work group. This subgroup then divided into 3 other subgroups because we had a bunch of kids in this one work group. But the one I did was the college and career readiness work group. And what we did is we looked at Chapter 74 approved programs, which is vocational education and school programs, which you all are aware of. But I specifically looked at kind of like how Quabbin fit into all of it. And we have an innovation pathway program, which is an excellent program from what I have heard. And then we looked at that along all of the other schools. And we then sent out a survey kind of seeing what kids' perspectives were on these programs, such as Innovation Pathway, Early College, Chapter 74 vocational programs. Some of the responses we did get were they do like it, it helps them, it prepares them for whatever job they wish to have in the future, instead of just them going through high school and then trying to find something. And depending on what it is that they wish to do in the future. But one question we did ask was what resources do you think you need to be successful after high school? Of course, they get financial literacy, college career advising, leadership, and social skills. But another response was just guidance on what it is, how to apply to a four-year college, what to do with college applications, what to do if I want to enroll into the military, what if I want to do this, if I want to go into the workforce, all of that. Okay, so this past school year, for my regional council, I was part of the student representation work group. Now, at the beginning, we originally discussed creating a presentation to give to school committees about having a student representative on the school committee. And we looked at Chapter 71, Section 38M of the Massachusetts Literature, which outlines what it is, how schools can do that so that there can be a student on their school committees. And then we reached out to the Massachusetts Association of Student Representatives, which is a subsidiary of the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. Now, this organization is a student-run organization created about 1 to 2 years ago. And we talked with them and we wanted to create a presentation so that we can get more student representation, more student advocacy in our local districts. However, there were even though this was a worthwhile goal, there were still miscommunication and some distrust amongst some of the members, so we had to adapt. Plus, we also knew that that would be a big project, and we did not know if we could fit that into an entire school year, especially since we only meet once a month, every other month. And then, all we did is we combined with the State Council Representation Work Group, in which the members listed what leadership opportunities and student advocacy opportunities we have in our own schools. And then our recommendation is to put them up on the DESI website so it can be found and explained in all in one place. And then we also will recommend that we send it out to administrators. Because as long as kids who are in these schools, if they have a pathway to educational issues, then they can get more involved in student advocacy. And along with that, they can also, if it's a new kid coming to a new school, they can see beforehand, what does this school offer for me as far as if I want to be invested in student advocacy or if I'm interested in joining certain clubs. Okay. So last one, on the state council this past year, we divided up into mental health. We have the mental health work group, which I was a part of. And then we focused on, it was the health and wellness work group, but we focused on mental health and CPR and first aid curriculum. Now, the interesting thing about this is I focused on the CPR and first aid curriculum because a school like Quabbin, we have the Health 2 elective, which has about a week and a half dedicated to CPR and first aid. And what I found is many schools do not have that kind of curriculum at their own schools. And so I collaborated with the Health 2 class. They did a presentation to one of the the staff meetings. They did a presentation to the staff about AED devices in CPR. So I took that and I essentially brought it to my work at the state level and I presented it to my work group there. And then that kind of guided us towards what it is we wanted to recommend to the Board of Education, in which I then also used some of the curriculum in the Health 2 class, and we put it in our final report. And essentially, it was a guide that we wanted to give schools to essentially say, if you want to create this class so that your students can learn an essential skill such as CPR and first aid, then this can be a way of how you can do it. So then they can know what it is they can do, what it is they might want to do, what it is they may want to take. And then the mental health work group. So we worked with people at DESI. It was called Getting to the Why, which was a program that offers statistical data through a multitude of demographics, gender, sexuality, grade, race, etc. And it was data collected from the Youth Behavior Risk Survey. We were told that this is skewed because of COVID, some of the data, but we still used it nonetheless because some of the results were true in what it is that we've seen not only in our schools, but also across many other schools. And it focused on topics like bullying, both in person and electronically, substances, alcohol, marijuana, etc., and health, such as like obesity, overweight, physical activity, and screen time. And then the mental health work group kind of looked at all of that, and then they recommended to the board on how they should proceed as far as implementing programs or mental health weeks in schools. I believe that's it.
That is a lot. Dr. Allen?
Yeah, couple things. First of all, what a credit you are. And nice reinforcement, I think, on the things that we're doing. I'm glad that you talked about that. Second, you're talking about the technology and looking to the future in education, which is something we are very concerned about and something we've been trying to work on. We've been talking to Evan for 10 years about that now, haven't we?
Yep.
And we even have a policy we put in 2008, which we created it then, and which took place, it went into effect in 2012. Everybody has to have an online something as part of the graduation. But I think if you guys can get organized with a presentation, having all your people meet with their local school committee to talk about what this is, what it can do, how it can impact going into the future, the way you did with the health, which sounded to me like very sound, good approach. But I think something like that would really be good and helpful. And I think as school committee members, I think we would be very appreciative of that. Now, I can't speak for other school committees and other districts, but I think that would be a good task for your next year for this group. I don't know whether you do it just regionally or whether you can do it on a statewide level. What do you think?
I agree with you on that. And luckily, even though if you're not on the state council, we all still talk to each other. It is a very close environment with each other. And we are all dedicated to trying to better not only our schools, but also other schools across Massachusetts. And we also just want what's best for not only ourselves, but also the people and other students that come after us.
Sure.
And that is one thing that I can surely recommend when we resume next year.
Deb?
Nick, great job. And I kind of wanted to follow up on his question because that's what I had written down. I wanted to know what Desi's feedback was when you went to them and they told them about the disparities across the state. What did they?
Oh, the mental health.
No, the technology.
Oh, the technology.
Beginning, when you went with the COVID, and did they realize?
So the one thing with that is we compile everything into a final report, and then the chair of SSAC is the student representative on the Board of Education, and they present all 100 document paper in that meeting. But the one thing I can say is I don't know what happened with the pamphlet, right? But they do listen and hear us, and they do say, we understand what you're saying, we will take the advisement. And then I do not know where that happened, where that went.
All right. And one other thing about that.
Absolutely.
One of our members has been brought it to the full committee to explore our subcommittees looking into having a student on our school committee and how that might work. And so we would definitely be interested in that feedback as well.
The one thing I can say is I work with kids who are on their school committees and they love being on and being able to give a perspective of what it is as a student at their school. And I believe it is really.
We believe it's very valuable information. That's why we invite you here, and we're looking for better ways to communicate. So we're open to that as well.
And the one thing that Massachusetts Student Reps does is they can help kind of guide us as to what it is that we can do. Even though I read the law too, it's pretty self-explanatory. So, but they can help us orchestrate elections and make sure everything is done correctly. And then that student can join that organization and then we can
Are they a voting member?
No, the law states that they are not a voting member. They are there to just essentially represent the students and
Sure.
Yeah, essentially,
Any
the
issues?
State Board of Education, as a student member, not voting.
Thank you, Nick. Great job.
Any other school?
Kind of a two-part question. So how did you view the collaboration of the students, either within your group or within whatever groups you were in? And the second part is when you had to deal with, for lack of a better term, adults, did you find that you were taken seriously all the time or some of the time, or were you kind of patronized?
when we express to them, so we have adults who are advisors from DESE who work with us and make sure all of our work is like on track. And as they love to advise us, we are only an advisory committee, so we can't really do anything as far as physical action. But when we go to adults, like people in DESE, and we express to them our views, our concerns, they recognize our dedication and how much this means to us. And they take us pretty seriously as far as that. The hard part is we can't like force them to do anything. All we can do is speak our minds, go from there.
How about the collaboration amongst the students? How did you feel about that? I mean, as you stated, different students from different areas with different needs.
We all understand, like we all have our own opinions, our own things that we see in our district that it may be solved in one district, but it may not be solved in others. So we kind of take all of our, kind of like our differences and put them together, and we all figure out what it is that we can do to help not only our own schools, but also each other. But of course, the hard part is we do have kids who, they are high schoolers, some procrastinate, don't do their side of the work. So at times it is difficult when you're in a group of, say, 11 kids and about 5 kids aren't showing up to every meeting. And since we meet very rarely, it is difficult for us to actually accomplish the amount of work we can with that limited participation.
Anyone else? Nick, I want to say your presentation, clear, succinct, concise. Just want to say that from a school committee perspective, and I don't know if you're aware of this, and maybe you are, this committee for the past couple of years are looking at a stronger student voice. Yes, we have a student advisory council with the partnership with the principal and our school committee. We are looking even further. So not only of what you were doing on the state level, you talk about student voice, you have people here that advocate for students. But we need to hear, it isn't like you said, you are a leader in the the high school, and you're representing and advising, not only bringing what's coming out from the students, but to us. Would you be willing to be working not only, but as you said, you are going to work next year, but also be part of our work together with the principal and you and our school committee to be able to look at our pros and cons and how we strengthen the student voice? Would you be willing to participate in that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? No. Fantastic. Thank you very much. We're going to go now to,
The DECA trip.
the DECA trip to Orlando report. We heard that back in the spring, and now we're going to have a presentation.
We'll pull up. Salvador, would you like to introduce the students or?
Oh, sure. Do you want to?
Okay.
Okay,
So, hi everyone, I'm Luke Salvador and
I'm Charles McKinstry.
and we're here to represent Club DECA. So I know some of you that were at the meeting a couple months back, we were talking about what we're doing in DECA and what the club is essentially. But so really quick, just want to give a quick refresher to those that were there or those that weren't there, a reminder of sorts. So DECA is a competition-based business club. What that means is there's a district level, there's a state level, and there's an international level. So we were very fortunate that we were able to make it to the international level in Florida, Orlando, Florida. So that's a big thing. You know, Wachusett, they didn't get there. Multiple other, multiple other school districts have never been there. This is our first year. We started with only 8 kids, and only 3 kids made it to internationals in the end. And, it really is, this is something that we're very proud of. It doesn't get done a lot. So with that, we'll get into the presentation. Oh, cool, okay. All right. So up here, just to explain this photo. So we landed, and the very same day we got right into the DECA activities, and this is pin trading. This is our first time here. This is our first year. We have no idea what this is. We sort of got thrown into it, but it was a blast. So this is me, Luke Salvador, Landon Stratas, and Riley Morton. Those were both graduating seniors, and I'm a sophomore heading into my junior year. So that's why they're not here tonight. But otherwise, so what it was is each state designed their state officers. They designed personal bags for every single student that was there to have one, from Massachusetts, from Delaware, Florida, California, or wherever they were from. So then other kids would trade pins, or they would trade hats. And see how I have a corn hat? That was our hat. And we had sunglasses, and we had pins on our sleeves. And so we would trade them. And some kids brought money. So they were very advantageous about it. And I walked away with $40 in my pocket. So then this is
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Go back. How do I go back?
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, so this was the opening ceremony, and you can see in our faces, this is not a stage photo. We were very excited to be there. And you see the lights flashing, you see the big projection screens. It was international. It was really an experience. And they had performers from America's Got Talent. I don't know if any of you guys watched that show. They had the I don't remember the name, Detroit Youth Choir. And that was just an amazing experience. And then here's just a photo of us doing some DECA work. Okay, so just to put in perspective how big this is, there's 22,000 from around the world. So this is not just, it's called international because there's students from Cuba, China, I believe there were students from Mexico, Canada, Great Britain, and I know I'm missing a ton, but there was just representation from all around the globe. And with that came multiple network opportunities from students, colleges, and employers. So there was one connection that we made with he was saying his life story and about how he got into entrepreneurship very early. And it was right out of college. He tried to start his own business. And this was at the opening ceremony. And so he got it all the way up to a multi-billion-dollar business. And then it all came crashing down. And then he was able to build it back up with hard work and resilience and discipline and all the motivation that, we need to have as students. And so it was really, the skills that our teachers talk about today, it was really cool to see that in something we're interested in on the larger scale. And obviously the reason why we were there, competitive events and the Leadership Academy Elevate. So Landon was the competitive events, and he went down to internationals, and obviously it would be better for him to talk more on that. But from what I talked to him, his experience was very good, and he gave it his all. We didn't come home with a plaque or gold or anything, but he gave it his best shot and he learned a lot. But this, the Leadership Academy, Elevate, possibly the best thing that could happen for the program. So now you can continue on. Next slide. So this is our leadership structure, and there's vice presidents, and there's like 5 vice presidents that go together to build different aspects of the club. And then there's a president that essentially just will check in with each vice president. And so as one of the vice presidents or as the president, you need that leadership academy skills. And so essentially what they were talking about was, what type of leader are you? What type of leader are you? How can you showcase your skills? What fits best to who you are? And that was really eye-opening as someone, that wants to lead, that someone is determined to lead. And with that, it just really developed the skills and what you need for each of these. So this next year, we've recruited a lot and we've done a lot of things to improve and get more members of our DECA club. So these skills are going to come in handy, and especially this next summer when we have the Leadership Academy, which essentially is going to be a few days in the school of where we talk about and learn all leadership skills that we learned in the Elevate Club here. So Charles will talk more on that and the recruiting that we did this past 2 weeks.
Okay, so for what we did to start out with, can you go to the next slide? Sorry about that. So what we started to do was at lunch we started advertising to students what DECA was. We had tie-dyeing contests, logo identification, games so that the kids would come in interested. And we held these throughout the week before we had our DECA After Hours event. And I saw kids, I helped man the table, and I saw kids come from the start of the week all the way to the end of the week, kids who were interested right from the get-go to ones who were kind of on the fence to start out with, and then towards the end of the week, they're full on. And then at the DECA After Hours event, we had upwards of 21 students show up for it. And to get a reference for that, before that, we had 8 students, 6 of which were seniors. And once they graduated, we had 2 left, Luke and Kevin. And shortly after that, I joined. And from there, after the lunch event and the DECA After Hours, we came to a total of 33 students in about 2 years. And the DECA After Hours event, we led with, the first half of it was leadership roles that Luke was talking about earlier, and how students can apply to them, which both me and Luke have both applied for each of one of the leadership roles. And the second half was just fun. We had games, basketball, frisbees, badminton, just so that the kids could have a fun time and get a good sense of what DECA was. It's not just business, but it's also just having fun with your friends. And we'll talk more about the leadership.
Okay, so back again to the Elevate. Essentially, again, what we learned down there was how to build your chapter, how to recruit, how to fundraise, and more importantly, how to make it a place where people want to be. And that all starts with the leadership. You know, the quote goes that a lion or a pack of lions led by sheep will never beat a pack of sheep led by a lion. That they kept pounding that in. Essentially saying that a team is only as good as their leader is. A leader is only as good as their team is, essentially, as well. And so that is what we will try to replicate this summer, and talking to all the applicants and all of the kids that want to get more involved in DECA. And essentially, DECA is a business club, but it's only in the scope of business. It's more of a leadership and self-development club. And that's essentially what we're going to try to do here. So that's last one. That was it. Right? Yeah. So overall, we're very happy with how the year went, and we can't wait to do it again next year and see how we can improve and improve and improve. You know, we could make it to internationals 10 years in a row. There's always a way that we can do better. There's always a way that we can improve. And that then again goes with what we learned at the Leadership Academy. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Thank you.
Comment. What great kids we have. And it really comes from the parents.
True.
From the teachers, the administrators. It just is a symbiosis here that seems to be working in our district. And Luke I've met and spent some time with. You're McKinstry?
Yes, I am.
Is there a Beverly McKinstry in your strain of the family?
No, there isn't.
Oh, I went to school with a Beverly McKinstry. Oh, well. Anyway, this is terrific. What you're doing, the leadership that you're exhibiting. For 25 years, I've been sponsoring the Leadership Academy at the Association of Teacher Educators. I'm going down there this summer. I will give a little talk there and all. And then this is another wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, guys.
We really appreciate that.
And parents.
Anyone else? I might want to consult with you to figure out how you got all those kids involved. I work at a school, and that is one of our biggest challenges is getting students interested and knowing what's available. So I personally, I'm just shocked and kind of in awe of the two of you being able to grow a club from 3 to 33 or 30. That's really remarkable.
Yeah, we'd love to help you assist.
We'll bring you in as outside consultants.
Wait a minute, he pulled off $40 down in Florida. He's already working on independent contracts. Anyone else? Just want to say thank you. Your enthusiasm is infectious. Your presentations are clear, concise, and we look forward to hearing. And what you said, from starting from scratch, and you made it down to Florida, and you're building that enthusiasm and your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have Triumph trip to New York.
I got the French.
Oh, okay.
Let's do, well, okay, we're working on the new business. Thank you for the Decker. So no vote there. And then the French trip, French exchange trip report and request for approval of French cultural exchange program for the 2024-25 school year with Lycée. I'm saying it wrong, correct? Lycée, St. Joseph and Avignon, France.
Yes. Hi, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Kelly Wiederman. I traveled with the French group this past April. I actually jumped into the trip kind of late. It was probably December, and it was because Alicia Frost was unable to go, so I took her place. And we did a fair amount of planning between December and April. So we were gone from April 11th to the 23rd. We had 3 chaperones and 23 students. We used Teach by Travel out of North Brookfield, so a small local company, and then pretty much did everything ourselves once we were there, with the exception of a few arrangements that they had made for us. So we had arrived in Paris on Wednesday the 12th and transferred to Avignon on Friday the 14th. Largely went without incident. We had a couple of small things pop up here and there. But overall, it was very successful. While we were in Paris, we went to the Eiffel Tower. We visited Sacré-Cœur, Notre Dame, which they're still repairing the sphere on top, so we couldn't get too close to that. And then in Avignon, we were able to visit the Pont du Gard, which is a Roman aqueduct, as well as the Palais de Pape, which is in the 14th century. The popes were actually moved from Rome to there. So that was fabulous. And then the Pont d'Avignon, which is a bridge that's famous, and there's songs about it and so forth. And while we're in Avignon, the students did a student exchange where they actually went and they stayed with families for the 10 days that we were in Avignon. And the students in Avignon were actually on vacation. They do their spring vacation. It's kind of interesting. They do rolling weeks. So different parts of the country are assigned different weeks, and then everybody in that section of the country is on vacation. So the last couple of times the French trip has traveled to France, they've been on vacation. We're not sure what it's going to look like in 2025 yet. The schedule has not come out. So I did send out a post-trip survey. So out of the 23 students, 17 responded very favorably. Almost everybody said that it was a fantastic trip, highly recommend. And even those that were a little bit more hesitant about it said that it was a worthwhile experience, that they learned a lot from it, that they got a lot, they learned a lot about themselves. There was a lot of problem solving going on. The language barrier was an issue for a lot of our students, as was food. You know, and a lot of our students, many of them had never been on a plane before. So their first time even on a plane was an international trip. So even the process of going through TSA and navigating Logan, it was it was a pretty big learning curve for a lot of our kids. And it was really neat to see over the course of 14 days, the confidence that they picked up, and they were not the same group going through Charles de Gaulle coming home as we were leaving Boston, which was really neat to see. And they did a fabulous job problem solving through the issues that they had, and working kind of through those. Some of the recommendations that students had made was doing Paris at the end next time. So one thing that we talked about doing would be flying into Marseille and then going right into the student exchange and then traveling up to Paris and then flying out of Paris. It was really exhausting doing Paris at the beginning. Everybody was still jet lagged as we were at the Eiffel Tower and so forth. And it was, some students described it as a fever dream. It was kind of, did we really go there at the end, because everybody was so tired. And then the other thing that students actually said they wanted more of was time at the hostel. We stayed at a youth hostel in Paris. There were over 500 different nationalities represented during the week that we were there. And so they had the opportunity to talk to students from all over the world and mingle with students from all over the world. And we had some really good conversations with our kids about different customs. Like one thing that really bothered the kids was lining up. So we would line up for breakfast, we'd line up for dinner in the dining area, and the kids would frequently comment, they don't know how to line up. And so we'd have discussions like, maybe we're the ones who don't know how to line up. Queuing looks different in different countries. So it opened some really good discussions about how to look at things a little bit differently, even things that seem really simple to us that we might not think of being different in different cultures. So we had some great conversations around that. But that would be one thing we'd look at, would be doing Paris at the end. Some other changes that we would look to make for 2025 is traveling with a minimum of 3 chaperones. So we had 3 chaperones for this trip. And we did have a student with a medical emergency towards the end of the trip, who we flew home on a Monday, and he actually ended up having surgery Saturday going into Sunday. Which left us with 2 chaperones with 22 students, as one chaperone stayed with him. And thankfully his family was actually vacationing in northern France. And so his father was able to fly down to be with him, or take the train down to be with him. But we're thinking forward that a minimum of 3 chaperones, 4 chaperones, if we were traveling with a group of 2023 again, because kind of operating under the assumption that there's always somebody who's going to have to be doing something, whether it's a student who gets sick or a passport is lost, or I think our eyes were opened a little bit to, the kinds of issues that can pop up without expectation. And then the other issue is one of those chaperones really should be male. So we were 3 women chaperones, and our group was pretty evenly split between men or male students and females. And then the student who actually was hospitalized was a male student, which left one of us with him in his hospital room by necessity until his dad could get there. But I think it would just be nice to have a little bit different representation with the chaperones, so that, all of our students have somebody that they can identify with for whatever issues they may be having. Which is kind of what I wanted to come here, even though we're talking about April 2025, being able to bring additional chaperones would require additional fundraising, so that burden doesn't get passed on to the students. So the hope would be to kind of get early approval so that we can begin this process a little bit sooner than what we did in the past, and have that funding so that we can keep costs down. I think students paid at the end of the day, it was $2,100 for 15 days, and that included their flights, their insurance, our stay while we were in Paris. We had some group meals, so it really is a wonderful deal for them. And St. Joseph Lycée, they're great to work with. They were able to get us admissions into a number of sites over there in France using their student discounts. All students can visit museums and so forth for free in France. So Patricia Millon, who is the English teacher at St. Joseph's, was able to make those arrangements for us. So we've already had some conversations with her about what things might look like in 2025, additional things that we could do and keep costs down for students. But my hope is that by getting it approved early on, that we could engage in some fundraising earlier so that we can continue to keep this affordable for students and try to offer them the best experience possible.
Thank you for the outline, Dr. Allen.
I want to say thank you stepping in and doing that. This is great for this is great for our kids. I lived in France in 1960, 1961. And all the places you talked about, I could even sing you the song, Sur le Pont d'Avignon. So forth. That's the song that's the song she was talking about. So
yes,
wonderful that you do this. And I would make a motion for 25 with the usual provisos.
Second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion?
One thing, it has nothing to do with the future of the trip, but you brought up a point that unfortunately us school committee members never see. You talked about problem solving.
Right.
yes.
Everybody who presented today, Nick, the DECA people, yourself, problem solving, right? It's so nice. I mean, it's nice, sure, when we sit here and somebody can come in and say, gee, look at these MCAS scores. We went up here, we did this, we did that. That's fine, that's paper, et cetera. But problem solving, watching kids problem solve. I mean, on the 8th grade trips, we see a goodly amount of problem solving from our 8th graders. And I'll hear teachers say, wow, I didn't realize these kids, this kid or these kids would do that. We don't get to see it. That's too bad for us. I mean, it really is, because to me, that's where the heart of a lot of things are. When these kids graduate, MCAS scores aren't going to matter to them, but problem solving is going to matter. And it's unfortunate that we don't get to see it.
Well, they're looking for a male chaperone.
Right. So,
Thank you.
Fundraising for your problem.
no other comment? Roll call?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Thank you. And approved with the provisos, and keep us informed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Dr. Allen, do you want to sing? That was wonderful.
You're not sitting next to me.
It's recorded. You can watch it again later.
Again, thank you for out of order. The trip to New York City. Report. Tri-M. Good evening.
My name's Ali McGarry. My name is Shalise Riendo. We are both finishing up our junior years, and we're both part of the band in the Tri-M Honor Society. So, we have gone on our music department trip to New York City. Oh wait, sir, did the slideshow?
Yeah, I did. It was there. All of a sudden it just
Before I keep going.
off in the corner.
Oh. All right.
Pop it up.
Just getting Mr.
Oh,
Getting Mr. Walsh to help us out.
There we go.
All right. So.
Sorry.
Taking place
Okay.
May 12th, 13th, and 14th. So it was only a 3-day trip, but jam-packed, full of stuff. Okay. So we had about a 5-hour bus ride going to New York. And our first stop, we ended up going to the Rockefeller Plaza to have an independent lunch in small groups. This was kind of testing the waters with all the kids. We were given instructions to meet back at a certain corner at a certain time, and it really was kind of the basis of, okay, is this gonna work? Everybody did. It all worked out fine, but we all had lunch there, and then we had gone. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the order of this. Plaza, and then we had gone on like half a mile walk through Chinatown. We ended up in this small Italian section of New York City to go into this little hole-in-the-wall Italian restaurant, and it was just a party in there. Everybody had this wonderful dinner. We went back to our hotel. The next day, that was our competition day. You want
Next slide, please.
I'm going out of order.
That's okay.
So the competition we were in was the Music in the Parks Festival, and it has been running for over like 40 years. And this festival helped give students the opportunity to perform in front of adjudicators for feedback and all different bands and like choruses around each states. And each crew performed one warm-up piece and then performed two for adjudication. And both of our groups had received really high ratings.
So our chorus had received a rating of excellent out of the small school division. The band had a small group of orchestra players because orchestra doesn't really have many competitions that they can be a part of. So they had joined in with the band and were playing along with us. But our band had received a rating of superior for the small school category, and on top of that, we won the entire competition. We got overall first place.
Wow.
So from there, we had gone to Six Flags, and it was so much fun because we had members of band and chorus all joining together, going on roller coasters. There was a group of like probably 30 of us waiting in line, all getting on the roller coasters at once, and it was a wonderful bonding experience where people who don't normally get to interact, like say the freshman chorus members don't get to hang out with the junior band members. It was just people who don't get to be together got to spend some time and be really close friends after that. So it was only 3 days, but we made good connections with each other. These are a bunch of, so this picture is right before our competition. We were outside of the school that we were going in to compete with. This is the band and the chorus together. This is the chorus holding their second place trophy. Up in the corner is us at Six Flags. This bottom corner is the band with our 2 trophies. And then this is Brown and Miss Tuttle holding one of the trophies. And then some of the boys on our trip of all different grade levels had gone and got matching New York City t-shirts as like one of our final stops. You go back 2 slides, there's more pictures for our 3rd day. Okay, our 3rd day, we did our Radio City Music Hall tour. We went backstage and we got to meet Rocket. So we had a private tour of that. We went to the 9/11 Memorial and One World Observatory, and that was the view from up there. And then we ended our trip with Aladdin on Broadway. Yeah.
Dr. Allen?
So I know these 2 musicians are good people. She's a sax player. I know that's good. You're a Riando, right?
Yeah.
Mike?
No.
Steve, your grandfather?
No.
We are striking out today.
Yes, I am. But I want to reflect back, 1957. There was no band. There was no chorus. Helen Chase would play the piano and a few girls would sing. That was the music department in the old Barry High School. And we started band. My dad was superintendent of schools then. He was Sheila, so to speak. And we had an assembly up in the top floor of Barry High School, and in he walks with a saxophone. Fine. Said, okay, Rich, here you go. Pull it out and play for him. Okay. And that was the start of the band and music program. And you remember Vinny's restaurant in Holden? Vinny Michitelli, who was that Vinny, was the first band director here. And he was a sax player, good guy, out of Worcester. He'd play in the bands around there. And I could tell you a story one time about when he thought I stole his car. But that's a different story. But look at again, the continuing good work. I mean, good people, good kids doing a good job. Thanks, Tony. But,
good thing.
I mean, top scores, and I assume there were bands and choruses from all around.
We actually were the school that traveled the farthest out of all of them in the competition.
Wow.
Yeah, you get 15 million people in New York metro area, though. That's even bigger than Metro Worcester. So anyway, good job. Thank you, Tony. And what a wonderful night. Just the continuing.
Exactly.
The kids, what we're seeing and what they're doing and so forth. Just wonderful.
But as rising seniors and a part of Tri-M, we are looking forward to trying to put something on for some of the underclassmen, and so then they can experience this great trip that we were a part of. The seniors of Tri-M had put on this whole trip, and we hope to do the same for those coming up.
Well, these trips are great. When I was a kid, I played at Tanglewood, I played at the Hatch Memorial Shell, stuff like that. And you go and you meet people and you get to, I know what you're saying. It's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Any other committee members? Anybody else?
I just think it takes a lot of guts to get up onto a stage and perform and to compete. So applause to you. And as a mom of a soon-to-be sixth grader, I'm going to throw up a little bit, who found her kind of people in the band and the chorus, being able to watch you all set the example for those younger kids coming up. Sometimes we lose the impact that we have without even knowing it. And I would want you to remember that when you're in some of those tough times, there's some younger eyes that are watching you and they're learning how to be brave from what you're doing. So just keep that in mind sometimes when, that pit in your stomach gets up, someone is brave because they saw you be brave.
Just got one question. When you explained the performances in the park, you said you had adjudicators. The adjudicators, so those are judges? Are those, and where are those folks? Are they visible? Are they not visible? Just curious about how that worked.
So basically, we were judged from the moment that we pulled into that bus.
Absolutely.
We got off the bus and we had to be professional, putting all of our equipment together and best behavior immediately. So once we were told that it was time to go in, we had a practice run for about 10, 15 minutes to get ready. And then once we went into the auditorium where we were playing in front of the judges, it was only us in there on the stage. And then the judges were all the way in the back and there was just a panel of them. They had their tables and their lights and they were talking into microphones the entire time we were playing, like verbally judging us as we go. And we got their audio clips of their notes afterwards.
Wow. So I bet you are right. You were probably being evaluated and observed from the time you got off of your interactions, both verbal and non-verbally. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that picture that they had on the last slide with all the kids together, they talked about how great it was to have them working together, the chorus and the band and the orchestra.
Yeah.
That was my favorite picture from the trip. They say nobody else was in the room, but, the band was there supporting the chorus when they performed and then vice versa. And after each performance, both groups were, just kind of really excited for what they did on the stage because they knew they were putting themselves out there. They knew that they were kind of leaving it all on the stage and the comments that we got from the judges were fantastic and things that we had really worked on. Both groups spent a lot of time after school. In the evening, couple hours, I think we had 6 rehearsals. I think the chorus had the same extra rehearsals on top of what they already do during the day, just to, and that elevated their sense of we've put a lot of drive into this and a lot of ourselves into this and to support each other through that. And then I just think riding the wave to go to Six Flags right after that. I mean, everybody was so excited how they did. So it was really, even before we found out how we did. Right? Those smiles were from before we got the trophies, and then that was just kind of the icing on the cake.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you play?
What?
Yeah.
We played a Susan March for our warm-up piece, and then we played Prairie Dances by David Holsinger, which is a pretty standard wind band piece. mixed meter, so it goes from 3/4 to 6/8 back and forth. And then we chose a new piece written by a female composer written last year. It's called Eterna. And also a mixed meter piece, which I thought, I wasn't sure if the judges would say that was too much or they liked the, the connection. And they really liked the connection. They liked the fact that we played a piece that was written for early wind band and then a piece that was just written last year. Both had a lot of energy, and I think that the kids really portrayed that to the judges. I mean, and the chorus did two very contrasting pieces as well, and they got really good comments because of the choices of the pieces and the energy that the kids put out.
Did Carla go with you and play?
No, they did both pieces a cappella. So, yeah, that which is challenging. And when you go on a trip, it's you never know, it's not the same as when you're here. We had a concert the night before. We had our senior night concert the night before. And because we figured that would be kind of a good warm up for our festival. And then it was exhausting, but whatever. And so it was a different group of kids. There were some kids that went that couldn't perform at the concert, some kids that couldn't, go to the festival because they had other commitments that weekend. May is a busy time. So it was a lot of adjustment, a lot of problem solving. Like Mr. Wallane said, that sort of thing, just to get everybody on the stage together and put on a great performance.
Thank you, and thank you to the musicians.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for your presentation. Okay, next is approval of the ROTC field trips for 23-24 school year.
Good evening. Thank you for taking me. I appreciate it. Take about 5 minutes of your time. You might have the schedule that I sent out to Jess earlier today. I'm not going to hit all of the items on there. Highlighted some of the ones that we are out of town on overnight or out of state on that I need approval on. But a couple of things up front. We start Leadership Academy. School's done on Friday, Saturday. Leadership Academy starts down in Newport. And we have 5 cadets going as trainees and 1 going as an aide, which is a big deal to be an aide down there. And then we have 3 kids doing a virtual leadership school in August. Our CO, our XO, and our senior enlisted advisor are going to be partaking in that. That's a relatively new school created during COVID. So it will never meet in person. But it is it's a bona fide school with mentors, presentations of all sorts, with some great leadership. Moving to the summer here, we have a new cadet uniform issue in August, which the teams, we have 1 team working on that right now. I'll review the final plan for that tomorrow. And we'll be all set for that. We're looking at, right now, 51 cadets is what is on the freshman roster. 51 aren't going to show up, I don't think, because they'll choose other opportunities, maybe at Monty Tech or whatever. But if we get 36, I'll be really happy with that number. That's a good number. That would be like 3 years in a row that we've had that number. We'll never be 150 and 120 again. Our school just is not that big. But to have 1 out of every 8 or out of 7 students to be a cadet is a good thing, I think. So 51 right now, 36 if that would be nice. Our new cadet orientation, we have 2 teams working on that. I've started the review of that plan already. That takes a lot of kids to put it on. I'm not going to Six Flags many more times. I go on 1 ride per Six Flags trip. That's enough. Usually it goes upside. It's like an airplane. It has to go upside down and around a couple of times. And then I'm feeling pretty good. What's that?
It's 1 more than me.
Yes. Should I tell them how we did our virtual reality Viking battle up there in Iceland?
I'll do that again.
I killed 6 Vikings. Yeah. The only thing I ever do. Basic leadership training down in Newport. We've been able to go the last couple of years, which is good, but it's been vaccination required, which has really kind of stilted our development of leaders early on in the year. That restriction has gone away. as well as with Leadership Academy. So our numbers are growing in Leadership Academy. But more importantly for us at Quabbin, I'm anticipating getting at least 70 cadets to go. Now, they won't all be Quabbin, but most of them will be Quabbin. There'll be maybe 15 from Oxford because we partner with them. We invite them to come along and join us. Our drill meets start on the 14th of October. We have 5 of them scheduled, one of them here at Quabbin, but one up in New Hampshire, which is out-of-state trip, one down in Coventry, around is out-of-state as well. Then we have a big one in Southold on Long Island that we usually do the weekend before Christmas. That's an overnighter. We've traditionally done very well on there. The last 3 out of the last 4, we've won it. Competing against 12 or so other schools. Last year, we beat the major competition on 3 events, the ones that really matter. However, we came in second overall, but we were pretty pleased with that. Let's see, moving quickly, our annual inspection, it looks like we are going to have the area manager inspection now every year instead of every other year. We have an inspection every year, but it's been area managers inspections every other. That looks like it's going to change. They just today designated who the new area manager is going to be, and they're cutting the areas in half. So instead of having responsibility for 65 units to visit every other year, they'll visit 30 units every year. So we have moved that back kind of to take the pressure off the lieutenant and I, kind of spread things out a little bit. So we put that on the 1st of December, a Friday. Look for my invitation to you, if you would, please. I mentioned the overnight to Southold. The students want a winter handball tournament. It's cold in January, but the one that we had in mid-May was such a success that they said, let's do it again, but let's do it in January. So we'll see how that goes. Our 4th annual dining in is on the 19th of January out on the Colonial. Another overnight trip, a brain brawl with 6 cadets going over to Mattatuck. It's the same unit, Southold, but they have it at a different school. That's just it's an academic competition. We don't do particularly well when we go on that. It doesn't matter because the kids have a great time. They see old friends, new friends during the day-long brain brawl, and they get to ride on a ferry. How much exciting is that? The Connecticut Science Museum, we have the Boston Science Museum on there as well, and we have the Mystic Seaport visit. All 3 of them have STEM written next to it. The Navy has provided us some significant STEM money that I need to spend. And to that end, we're trying to increase our STEM field trips. And also in the same area, we just bought 10 drones to start a drone team with some aviation instruction going on in there as well. We demoed that in front of all the cadets this morning at our quarters. We had to go outside. We're not supposed to fly these things outside. And if we do, we can't, going to keep them below 500 feet. Believe me, these things can't go to 500 feet anyway. But they're a good starter set. And our intent is to build a team in the fall so that they can compete at the drill meets that we go to. So our ball is on the 8th of March, a Friday night again, and with a lock-in on the 9th of March. Looking for volunteers to stay up all night. Mr. Nutter? Always looking for volunteers to help us out on that. It's a great event. Ms. Salvador's been a couple of times all night long. I understand there's vans available, which actually may make the Naval Academy trip a doable thing for us. And so we've put that back on our schedule with the hopes of getting there. You've already approved our trip to Germany, Switzerland, and Italy a few months ago, about 3 or 4 months ago. Thank you very much for doing that. We have 37 cadets out of the 57 eligible to go signed up for that trip, which is very, very nice. With those 51 potential freshmen coming in, we will open it up to them. Well, they're not tested. They're not true. You know, who knows what. I don't know, cadets seem to rise to the occasion when we take them on these special trips. And if we get 6 freshmen, I think you went on the one to Iceland when you were a freshman. I think we had 9 freshmen on that trip. Yeah, something like that. So if I get 6, that'll top us out at the number that we can take. And that would be nice, a good experience for them. Our award ceremony, we've moved back into May, from April to May, so it's the 3rd of May. And then finally, our Memorial Day Assembly, we were able to do it once again this year inside, in the gym. It was well attended, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. You'll get an invitation for that. I hope you can make it. It is not an ROTC event. Okay, it's a Quabbin Regional High School, Middle School event. And the singers performed, the band was marvelous. When I first came to Quabbin, I was told that the name of the school is the Quabbin Regional High School of Music and Fine Arts. That's the way it was explained to me. And you guys personified that, just absolutely terrific. But it is the science department, it's the art department, when we build stuff. There's so many pieces to it. I once counted up the number of people that participate in this. The number wasn't quite this, but there's probably over 100 people that participate in some fashion in putting the thing together. So it's really, I think, a Quabbin High School and Middle School event. We just finished our whitewater rafting trip, and it's already scheduled for the 7th and 8th of June up in the Forks, Maine. Always looking for volunteers to go on that one as well. If you're looking to go, only one raft went upside down this time. It's good, and I stayed in the boat finally. So it's a great trip, and the kids go up there. You talk about problem solving. I will say this: for all the presentations that you've gotten tonight, I think that it's proof positive that the best classrooms are those without walls. That's when they learn the most. That's when they're totally engaged, totally focused. Yeah, they go off on a tangent every once in a while, but you can trust the cadets, trust the students of Quabbin, and they will come through every time. Every time. So I really encourage that. And finally, flag retirement ceremony. We had our second one. We're actually 10 because we've done 5 each time that we do it. For the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade social studies history folks. And we've scheduled it next year as well, unless school gets out without snow days, and then we'll have to move it up a little bit earlier. So that's all I have. We do have some new initiatives. We're trying once again to try to get an orienteering team. We think we got the right 2 people in charge of that.
Yes, sir.
Salvador, it's one of them. And also our drone team. And I will tell you that I don't think you know this. When we went to in-service, Lieutenant and I went to in-service back in April. We came back with, I think it's our 17th Distinguished Unit with Honors banner for the school, which means that the principal and that I can now nominate kids for the Naval Academy, which is a big deal. But what's more important is the kids, it's their hard work. It's their community service, their participation in all aspects of the school that makes that possible. So congratulations to the cadets for doing that. Any questions?
Dr. Allen?
Well, it's self-evident what a great program this is. You and the lieutenant do a wonderful job of keeping the thing going. I was thinking about her when you said, well, we went down there and we didn't place, but it was okay. I'm thinking, yeah, I wonder what the lieutenant said about it.
Yeah, different, not that good.
But anyway, I make a motion to approve all of these. These are wonderful things, wonderful trips, great program, great leadership, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Pass my thanks on Lieutenant too.
I will.
Second, okay. Any further comments? Questions? Roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey? Yes. Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter? Mr. Nutter?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, all right.
And Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Outer space.
thank you very much. These should go quickly. We have approval of HES OCS Nature's Classroom trip to Ocean Park, Maine, May 28th, May 31st, 2024. Presentation?
Yeah. I just
Okay.
need to pull it up. Give me 1 second, please.
Students, you're more than welcome to stay. You can see us in action throughout the whole night, or no problem, we're not upset if you need to go home. Your call. There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having us.
Can't hear the music.
Share your screen, you have to stop.
We'll go through it.
And then share.
Right, thank you.
I'll just start talking.
Hello. Here we go.
We still have fun there with our field group leaders, how much entertainment we got. So we did bottle rockets and nature art. When we went hiking, we would go like in the woods, to the beach, to the pond, and to the woods. We would go around to places as our field group, and after that we would sing a song, and after 4 songs we would go to our teachers and head back to the cabins to get ready and go to bed. One of the experiences that we had was in like group leaders showed us how to start fires with flint and steel. One class that I took was field journaling, where we draw about like the surroundings and stuff that we can find. You have these teachers, and you go on like hikes. You go to the beach, find some seashells, and it's just a really good time. Activity we had was wood carving, where we had a plank of wood and we carved something that we wanted to carve. I had to learn useful stuff, like how to make a fort, and I got to learn how to make a fire out of rocks, leaves, pine, and then I also got to just get really connected to some of the staff there because they were so nice, and they like always knew what to do if you were even feeling bummed or if you got a little too excited, and they were just very kind to us, and I loved that. I think the food is really good. It's way better than school food, especially the breakfast, because we had like French toast and like hot dogs and burgers. It was pretty good.
The food was good. There were certain bits and bobs that were not the best, but in all, it was really good.
One of my favorite things about the dinner and the entertainment for it was like mostly for the breakfast, because we had like many different things. If you didn't like what they had like cereal, and if you were a vegan and dinner, they would have like salad. And also for entertainment, they had all the waitons who helped like the kitchen and stuff. Yeah, they had them do this thing called the Ort Report, where everyone would get up and start dancing.
So like the Ort Report was like basically, Ort is like an old word for like leftover food. Mm-hmm. And so we did the Ort Report, so any leftover food we would put in a bucket. For the Ort Report, we basically did like our little dance, you know, and then they would mark on like a chart, like how much Ort we had with like like animal or like symbol or something, like a picture. Like if there was a lot of ort, it would be like a big pine tree. If there was like a little ort, it was like a frog. We had a song called the Ort Report, and it goes like 1, 2. You all know what to do. I said, ooh, ah, the Ort Report. I said, ooh, ah, Ort Report. Shaky, 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 ooh, ah, the Ort Report. I said, ooh, ah, Ort Report. Yeah! Woo!
You'll like find these clamshells that if you're lucky enough, they'll still be attached, or they just break off by accident.
And stuff that I found was sea glass and like some cool shells. My experience was the beach, and I got soaked, and I didn't have an extra pair of pants, so my friend let me some. Or a couple things we were able to do on beach day was we went in there was like little tide pools, and like there was like crab shells and seashells everywhere, and like we were able to go into our heels or like our ankles, but some people just went in.
We would get opportunities to meet friends like in our dorm floors. Like we would get an hour before we had to go lights out, and we would like really hang out with them for a while and like build a really strong connection.
I made 3 new friends, and they were my roommates, but I didn't know them at first, but now I know them really well.
We got to go to these things called field groups, and we got to meet OCamp kids. It's not that hard to make friends, really. At Nature's Classroom, there's like a bunch of other kids, and they'll be in your class sometimes. So if you're like, if they're gonna ever be like part of groups or something, try to like pick someone new and not like just someone that you already know. So you may never know, because in middle school they like put both of the schools like together, and if you see someone you know from Nature's Classroom, it will be really easy. My favorite thing was when we did fire and we went to the frog pond and the ocean.
My favorite part about Nature's Classroom was probably going to the frog pond and being able to like catch different frogs.
Going to the beach. My favorite thing was the food.
When I was with my group leader and I got to play with my friends.
Finding the sand dollar at the beach.
My favorite part of the Nature's Classroom was going to the frog pond and catching different frogs, some of which we named Jokavian Johnson, the Screaming Frog, and Billy Bob.
As you can see, our students had an amazing time at Nature's Classroom. I always love to talk to them before and then after their trip, because before, many of them are very hesitant. Some of them have never slept away from home, so they're not sure. But we really talked the program up about, just the exciting activities that they're going to be engaging in, what they get to do. They're going to go to the ocean, which is right there, which is a really nice benefit of going to Ocean Park, because we don't have that additional cost of a bus to take them to another location. It's literally right there for them to enjoy those activities. And then when they get back, they cannot stop talking. They get off the bus, they're excited, they're smiling, they've made new friends, which allow, that's the nice thing about going with OCAM Center School as well, as they get to make new friends from another school. So when they do go to middle school, they already have established connections with other friends that are not in their class. And I think that makes it a little bit easier. So Nature's Classroom is always an amazing time for our students. They absolutely love it. I'm really excited. We're going to ask for your approval again to go back to Ocean Park, Maine for next year.
Right.
During, of course, Mike.
No, May 28th, May 28th, May 31st, no problem.
Memorial Day week. It's a really great experience. I'm not sure if Trisha's on here and she wanted to say anything else. But really, I think that it's a really nice connection and a great opportunity for our students. So thank you.
Good. Dr. Allen?
Yeah, I move approval, but I also, where is Ocean Park?
In Maine.
Well, I know that.
Near Old Orchard Beach, just south of Old Orchard.
Oh, okay.
Old Orchard, is that by that way? Okay.
I never heard of Ocean.
All right, motion, is there a second?
Sure.
All right, second. Any further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I know if we can, I'd love to have, kids next year, students come and try to get maybe an early meeting or something like that, because hearing from them, problem solving, the authenticness, it is there in the film, absolutely in the video. But I think it's nice when kids come here too. So hopefully we can work that out to make it work.
That happened.
All right. I think these are just approvals, no presentations, okay. Approval of HCS, Nature's Classroom trip to Charlton, Mass, October 23rd, October 27th, 2023. Just as stated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, approve with the usual provisos.
Second, okay, no further, any questions? Yes.
I'm just wondering if you could remind me why Hubbardston goes to Charlton? Again, I think we
Colleen may be
learned
able
that.
to-
Does anyone know?
It's okay. Certainly talk to it, but I see.
Mrs.
Principal
Peterson's here.
Peterson is on as well, but this is their location that they've been attending for several years. And they also go at a different time of year because they have, the teachers have very strong feelings about building bonds with their students at the beginning of the year.
I remember.
That carry them through, but I see Jill has popped on.
No,
Hi,
that's
Jill.
absolutely right, Colleen. The fifth grade teachers really have always done this and they feel like, I think they picked Charlton, a couple of reasons. One is because it's close to home and it's early for the kids. They're a little bit younger than some of our other students. So if there is any sort of, I don't know, homesickness or whatever you may have, it's an easy fix for parents. And they really appreciate the beginning of the year trip so that they are bonded with their students. They have said every year that it makes a difference for the community that they build in their classrooms and for the independence that it builds for the students. So they're really committed to that. And I felt like that was worth it.
And I just would add that OCAM always had grade 6 go to Nature's Classroom, and that's why they'd go in the end of the year, kind of like a way to end their year before moving up to middle school. This is the first time our 5th graders had ever, that we've had 5th grade go to Nature's Classroom.
Gotcha.
Thank you. No, I think it's great. I like the early on as well. I was just wondering why the location, why we didn't go like near the ocean like the other new location.
I don't know. I
Because
asked
Charlton is similar to our area here, so to experience new things, that's all I was wondering.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
get
there was-
that. I've asked that question too. But I think that they feel like the community building piece of it is so much easier there because they're really focused on that part of it, because it is sort of I mean, it's somewhat familiar, but it also opens up their backyards to a degree that they've never had, because they, when you take something for granted and then you have these people that take you a little bit further into it, you learn a new appreciation and you find more in your own backyard than you thought. So I think it's a, there's different ways to look at it, but they feel really good about it and the kids have a blast. So
That's all that matters.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, any other comment? Roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Approval of RLS, Ruggles Lane, Nature's Classroom trip to Yarmouth, Mass, May 28th to May 31st, 2024.
So move with the usual provisos.
Second.
Second, any further? Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Approval of grade 8 trip to Washington DC, April 8th through April 11th, 2024.
So move with the usual provisos.
Second.
Okay, and roll call?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Acceptance of donation of $1,500 from Catherine Jenkins from the Hardwick Elementary School Student Activity Fund for field trips in Nature's Classroom.
So move with thanks.
Okay, is there a second? Second, Dave Marsh, any comment?
In regards to that?
Yeah.
So she did help us out. It is difficult for us to raise that amount of money for Nature's Classroom. In Hardwick, we do a lot of fundraising. The trip alone is probably just for the student cost about close to $10,000 plus the busing and everything else. So we have to do a lot of fundraising to raise that money for our students to go. So it was very helpful.
Very, very helpful, and we'll
About that.
also a thankful note will come as well, so. Any other question? Roll call?
Dr. Allen?
Yeah.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Thank you for the adjustment there. Just maybe one more to do, and then we'll be right on target. We'll now go to approval of minutes. And so move. We have, each of them have to be separate because they are, first one is April 6th. We have executive session.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to bring to your attention that I wrote May 30th on here. It should have been May 11th. So I don't know if you want to, we did not have any meeting on May 30th, but it should have been May 11th. I just typed it incorrectly.
So
So
that should be May 11th.
I don't know if you want to
We'll make a
still vote on it or you want to.
We'll make a change if that's okay with the committee. It's a
Motion
typo.
includes for correction.
Okay,
We have to do we have to do all the minutes separately?
we have to do them separately.
April 6th first.
We have to do April 6th first. Yeah. You have to do them separately. So in your packet here, April 6th, executive session. Okay. Seconded and made and seconded. Any further questions? No. Roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. We have Thursday, April 13th.
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
I'm tapped out. Somebody else.
Second.
Deb is second.
Sorry.
Good. Any other further questions on the minutes of April 13th? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Abstain.
Stay up there. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. In your packet, it is Wednesday, May 11th. May 11th?
Not May 30th.
So I have Thursday, May 11th.
think it was Thursday. It was a Thursday. It was a Thursday. Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
You said Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. Thursday, I was looking at the wrong one. I looking at the 31st, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Is there Thursday, May 11th, 2023? Motion made and second. Any further questions, comments? Seeing and hearing none, roll call.
Dr. Allen? Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Lanham?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Two more. Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. Is there a second?
Second.
Peg? Any further question, comment? Roll call?
Dr. Allen? Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. William?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. And Thursday, June 8th, 2023?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second, Deb. Any questions, comments? And hearing none, roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh? Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. William? Mr. William?
Yeah, I'm too.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Abstain.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Before we go into the reports from the superintendent, Teacher Advisory Council. Mr. Barringer, nice to see you in person.
I thought you walked out with the group. I'm back by popular demand. I'm gonna actually normally, I'll speak off the cuff from the heart, but I don't want to mess this up for three people, including one that's sitting right here. So it is good to see everyone. As a representative of the QRTA, I think it is important to honor the passing of Raymond Castriata, who himself was once a leader of our local Teachers Association, which is why I think it's my duty to speak on his behalf.
Good guy.
Ray was an inaugural member of the Quabbin High School faculty and recently passed away at the age of 94. It's a heck of a run. He served his nation as a captain in the U.S. Army. He also served this district as an outstanding history teacher. He was the last original member of the Quabbin Regional High School upon his retirement in 1989. His sons, Matt and Mark, followed in his footsteps, becoming teachers here at Quabbin as well. He took great pride in his work and taught in a time when teachers still had control over their craft and curriculum, days that are missed. He created courses such as Famous Women in U.S. History and a course on Native Americans. He will be missed by his large family that serves as a testament to who he was as a person. I can say his granddaughter, Courtney, is one of my favorite students I've had. And I remember just 6-7 weeks ago seeing them together at the grocery store. I did not know him very well, but I think his track record for what he did for this community speaks for itself. Another great leader at Quabbin also recently passed away, longtime educator and coach, Mike Diamond. Mike was 84 years old. He was my gym teacher. I remember Jane Fonda's workout. Listen, he made sure everyone was doing it. I remember going to basketball practice and thinking it was a breeze compared to that. He took his job very seriously, and I respected that. Mike attended, as I'm sure you know, Barry High School, and there he was a standout athlete. He had become an educator at Quabbin after some time in Vermont, and he would transform this baseball program into one of the most respected teams in Massachusetts, culminating with winning a rare state title in 1974. He was inducted into the Massachusetts Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame after having more than 300 victories. He is in the Quabbin Sports Hall of Fame as well. I've received many requests from former players and teachers asking if I could help get the baseball field named after him, which sits right over here across the way. I assured everyone I do not have that authority, but I would ask that Dr. Muir makes this one of her last duties. He's worthy of that honor. In fact, I wish we had all thought of this while he was still alive. Thanks for your consideration. The last reason I'm here is far more upbeat. It is to honor and represent teachers by saying thank you to Dr. Muir. When Dr. Muir took this job, everyone knew it was the right hire. But I do not think anyone knew how much he would be tested. You passed the test clearly with flying colors. I believe in giving a sincere account of a person, so I think we should start by looking at her mistakes. There we will discuss the areas of
Classic.
I only have a top 5 list of errors. Number 1, no, I'm just kidding. There are different qualities that leaders can possess. There's not one path. Her path, from my point of view, is one of combining very hard work, knowledge, and compassion. Sheila is not loud. But make no mistake, she can be tough. She does not enjoy drama. More importantly, she will not let dramas develop around her. It is important for leaders to always lead by example. On a daily basis, nobody is more dedicated than she is. She is here early and she is here late. There are many reasons I know how hard she works. One is because she legitimately has tried to schedule multiple meetings at 6:30 in the morning. The first time she did this, I honestly thought it was a joke. It may have been a strategy, though, as I do not become truly obnoxious until around 8 a.m. And she won most of those early morning meetings. Now we meet at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. In all seriousness, how many times have you driven by and seen her car here on weekends or late in the evening? You cannot ask others to work hard if you do not. She works hard. Sheila's legacy will be her handling of the COVID-19 crisis. I do not need to list all the challenges this district faced, as they are still very recent. Our district deserves an A+ for our handling of the swift and massive changes that COVID brought on. While others around her were in panic, including me, she was calm in the storm. As new concerns were brought to her, I always knew what her response would be. Quote, well, I'm not sure how we will handle this. We will, and it will be okay. End of quote. Every decision she made, or any decisions that had to be made by a group of stakeholders, started by her prioritizing what she thought was best for kids. That should be her priority. However, she was always extremely respectful of the needs of adults that were often very divided on important issues. I also deeply appreciated how she always sincerely listened to the concerns that I would bring forward. Across Massachusetts, many districts, as you know, and I probably know even more from working along with the MTA, became severely divided by COVID. Scars that will last for at least 10 years. At Quabbin, exact opposite. Working relationships, for the most part, strengthened. That is something to be very proud of, Dr. Muir. You led this district through the greatest challenge with a calm and steadfast spirit. You were the calm in the storm. A brilliant captain of a ship that has now returned to shore. It is time for you to exit as the sea is calm. The sky ahead from the quarterdeck of the ship looks calm. I had to ask Dan where the captain sits. As we pull away to the calm waters, leaving you behind, we know that there will be storms in our future. I hope future people in various leadership roles ask themselves when the storm comes, what would Sheila do? The first thing I will say is, while I am not sure how we will handle this, we will, and it will be okay. Best wishes and thank you, Sheila. I loved working with you. Miss you.
Well said, Evan.
And thank you, Evan. And look forward to seeing you next year and over. And if you can't make it, do me a favor. Do us a favor. Could you send a representative on your board?
I can ask.
You can ask.
I can ask.
That'd be great, because we would love to hear what is happening. As you know, you see what we do, as we always do. You had a busy year. It's been a busy couple of years. We miss you. So We'd like to hear from you, however you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm back more often. Thank you very much.
You got it. Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, I just want to endorse what Evan said. I knew all the people he's talking about. I knew them quite well. Played ball with some of them. Not Sheila, but the others, including Evan. And when he talks about weathering the storm and the COVID and all, and the problem, he's a major part of it too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So as a committee, we thank you for that, for being here, for stepping up and all. But Sheila, did you do a hell of a nice job?
Only because of my team. Only
Well, yeah, but
because of
it's-
everyone here.
That's the point, it's your team. You picked them, you trained them, you worked with them, you supported them, you critiqued them, you brought them along, all that sort of stuff. And look who's next.
And before I go into our agenda, as we go to.
You got more agenda?
Oh, we'll get there. We're going to get there. Don't worry, we're going to get there. But at the superintendent's report. But before we turn it over to Sheila, Dr. Muir, for her report, just a quick point of personal privilege. Dr. Muir, would you come over to the table over there for a moment? And maybe we all could just stand up for a second too.
I would love
Come on
to
over.
stand up.
That's what I figured. Come on over.
Stretch out like. We like field trip meetings.
Maintain, there's old ball players and there's whole ball players, but there's no old whole ball players. That's which category we fall into.
You all want to come over here and I come over here? It's up to you. We have just a small appreciation of a cake. Congratulations on your next adventure of your life. You have done, Dr. Allen has spoke. I know others may speak later as well, but thank you for your leadership. It may not be the biggest cake, but it is the best cake. The first piece will go from.
Shelley said she'd cut it for her.
Oh, Shelley. All right, perfect. Shelley.
You want to make the first cut?
Cut the first, I'm gonna do the first cut.
Okay.
And there's coffee, right? And there's water. You just gotta keep popping around. Now fixed. Did it on Friday.
There is little.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I really appreciate Ian.
Yes.
The opportunity. Can't thank all of you enough.
So we're all gonna get a piece of cake and we can sit down and get back to business at hand.
Age 10, 11, 12.
What do you need?
Sorry, I'm next.
No,
We'll do it.
But Eagle Hill, no, he's the athletic director. He was coaches the soccer team, won multiple championships, the wrestling team. He sent someone.
So we'll hand them out.
There you go.
I'm sure of that.
Couple of summers and
You're good. So, yeah.
Are you ready?
my opinion is.
That looks so delicious. Oh
Here you
my
go.
goodness.
I'm a caterer.
So like you say, you've got to be.
You don't want to miss that.
All right, superintendent's report.
Okay. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
So we'll start, if we could, with the strategic plan. So as you know, we have been working on the strategic plan for many months, and I have promised, I think for 4 months in a row now, that it would come to you for approval. We finally have the final draft for approval tonight. I'm going to ask, we'll just follow this links. Oh, okay. So really, all aspects of the strategic plan have been revised. We have a new vision. And again, I'll remind you that we had stakeholders from all stakeholder groups were represented at 2 meetings, a kickoff meeting. And we had, a lot of the data that helped guide the work of the strategic planning committee was obtained from those stakeholder group meetings, but also from a survey, a district-wide survey that we had over 400 responses to, which was really an overwhelming response. I don't think, other than during the COVID pandemic, where we did a lot of surveys of parents, we had any surveys recently that have had that type of response. So we were really appreciative of all of that data. That's part of the reason that it took us so long to develop the plan, is we really spent a lot of time culling through that data and making sure that the new plan focused on student outcomes, centered on students, but took into account all of the feedback that we had received from our stakeholder groups. I will have to thank the administrative team, the principals and the central office administration really did the bulk of the work on pulling this all together with the help of a consultant, Amy McKinstry, who's a superintendent colleague of mine. We spent hours and hours and hours going through and wordsmithing this document. So I think we're at the point that we're very happy with it. I won't spend a lot of time going through it, but I will just highlight, you're going to see some similarities to previous plans. Obviously, in the vision, the reference to lifelong learners, hard work, curiosity, excellence, diversity, inclusivity. Those are things, global citizens. Those are things that have been woven through strategic plan visions in this district for at least the last 15 years. And it's so, although this is a slightly different statement, it has all of the elements of sort of what Quabbin has stood for and probably will always stand for. Can we just go to go up again? Yeah. And the mission is a little bit different. You can see that we're focusing on positive relationships with students, engaging our students, using data effectively, and communication with families. These are all really prominent themes in the data that we reviewed from all of our stakeholder groups. Going down to the theory of action and the core values. So we chose the core values based on the not only the data, but our vision of the graduate. So our vision of the graduate describes our students as respectful, responsible, resilient, and innovative. And we really felt like it was appropriate to connect that to the mission and the core values of the districts. But most importantly, and you can see that top statement there, is that we put students first and we make all decisions in the best interest of students. And again, that's essentially what our previous core values reflected as well. Just slight variations on that. Our theory of action is, if we foster a culture of equity and achievement, and every member of the Quabbin School District will personally thrive.
and affect positive change in their world. And we have chosen only 3 major strategic objectives. The first one is really focusing on engagement and communication. We heard loud and clear that we really need to continue to work on our communication and engagement with students, staff, families, and community members. And so that is one of the 3 primary focus areas for the work over the next 3 years. Creating a safe and supportive district culture that promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion. And finally, continuing to create and expand our differentiated learning opportunities, not only for our students, but for our staff. And under each strategic objective, we have a few initiatives. Develop a clear and consistent communication plan under the communication and community building, create opportunities for parents and community members to develop stronger partnerships with the district schools. Let me scroll down just a little bit more. And an internal system of communication protocols that is going to strengthen our internal communication. So focus on external communication, partnerships, and internal communication in that first strategic objective. And then going to the second strategic objective, we want to make sure that all students and staff and families continue to feel welcome and safe in our school environment. So we're going to work on enhancing our experiences and our environments. Along those lines, we are going to evaluate equity gaps and in our policies, our practices, and our experiences, and continue. So we're going to develop an internal structure. You'll see more about the action plans that go behind all of these initiatives. Likely in September, the admin team has worked a great deal on developing those action plans. I think we're going to finalize some of those things next week when we work as a team, and then those will come back to the committee for review with year 1 action plans. And so just letting you know that there's more coming to sort of to give you the specifics, details about what this work will look like as it plays out over the next 3 years. And finally, in the second strategic objective, looking at school environments where all of our students feel represented, affirmed, and through our use of culturally responsive practices. And as you know, we began that work this year, and we'll continue it, I'm sure, under Colleen's leadership in the next 3 years. And then for the third strategic objective, looking at differentiated learning opportunities, we want our professional learning to be relevant to all positions and individual needs for all of the educators. So we're going to work for more differentiated opportunities. I think we do a great job with that so far, but we're going to really work again to differentiate further our learning opportunities and hopefully to build some collaborative planning opportunities structured within the school day over time. More strengthening our multi-tiered systems of support for academics for students and for our social emotional tiered systems of support for our learners. And finally, in the, just go a bit further. No. Go to the bottom of the document. Sorry. I'm saying up.
You're saying up.
Yeah. And the final one is the continuing to expand our programming to make sure that it's diversified to the degree that we can engage all students in challenging all students, engaging them, and continuing to build programs that will lead all students to have as many doors open to them as possible as they leave the Quabbin Regional School District. So we are seeking approval.
What a great example we have here.
Absolutely.
That was outstanding.
The only-
And to the point exactly that you're making.
The only word I was thinking is we should add problem solvers.
Yeah, was very difficult, it is very difficult to hone this down into something that's manageable, something that people can, small enough so that people can, sort of remember it, but comprehensive enough to represent all the work that we do. So this is where we landed. There are certainly things that we wordsmithed, and some people said problem solving should be there, and other people said, oh, we think we have it covered with this. So we would like approval if possible tonight so that we can continue our work on action planning next week when we meet as an admin team.
I move that we approve the strategic plan as stated by Dr. Muir.
Second.
Any further question, comment? Dr. Allen?
Yeah, a few things. Students first. That's great. The INTASC standards. I was on the committee that redid those about 12, 15 years ago. And they all start off, the teacher will, the teacher can, the teacher. And I think the major contribution I made was flip that around. No, it's the students will, the students can, the student. So that's great to see in here. And then about once a decade, I do make the point, the most important job we have, keep them safe.
Safety.
Keep them safe. You all know that. And you have that in here. So that's good. And I'm thinking back in the 80s, we did a needs assessment, which was pretty extensive. And what we came up with was all students can learn, and our job is to help them learn to learn. And that's been expanded and gone into in more detail and all, which is really good in this problem solving. I'm thinking of Alice Seagren, was a legislator in Minnesota, was then commissioner of education, and she was over in Japan, and they were saying, well, our students commit suicide and we can't teach them the problem. How do you get them to not commit suicide, and how do you teach them to problem solve? And as I thought of that, I don't think we do teach them to problem solve. I think we give them opportunities. We put them in situations. We put them in positions where they have the chance to do that and they rise to it. And I think that's what we
witnessed.
Yeah. So this is nice. And I like the size of this.
Any other comment? Seeing, hearing none. Roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Lannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I know that. I don't know what I was thinking.
If you just go here and then when it comes up, you just back. Okay. And so, it might be easier. I feel. Okay, so Brant, our website, again, a promise that I have not fulfilled, but we had anticipated that we had hoped that it would be ready for the end of June, but for some delays in the website development company, we're going to keep working on it over the summer, and at least by the beginning of the school year, but maybe sooner, you will see our new website. So more to come on that. Well, I'm having trouble letting go of the we yet. I still have a few more days where I can say the we. Just budget update. Many of you know Hubbardston did not approve their assessment. OCAM did, Barry did. We are hoping for approval and anticipating recommendations for approval in New Braintree this Thursday evening and in Hardwick Saturday morning. So on Saturday morning, if all goes as we hope it will, we will have an approved budget. So, and I will certainly let everyone know if that is the case. We're beginning to hire for FY24. Our goal is to be
our goal is for the district to be fully staffed by the beginning of the school year. I did want to announce that Mr. Kevin Clark, who is our current building and grounds manager, is going to have a new title. He is going to be the Director of Buildings, Grounds, and School Safety going forward. So we really have a need for someone to oversee district-wide school safety. Kevin is very, very skilled in that area, has done a lot of work in the private sector in that area. He will likely be assisted by one of the elementary principals as well, but he will have that new title. So we're really happy that he has accepted the additional responsibilities.
Would Williams have any part in that? Williams?
Oh, the new SRO, Robertson? Davidson, excuse me.
Davidson?
Yeah, Russell. You got me confused, Dr. Allen. Yes, absolutely. Yes, the school resource officers, we are now, as you know, having a full assessment of our school safety with an outside consulting firm. They've been meeting. Shelley St. George has been heading that initiative up for us this year and this spring, actually. And they've been on site at all of the school buildings. They've been meeting with school staff, local police officers, fire. So that is in process. We will have that report by the end of September, hopefully sooner. And that will help us pull everything together. And this is just more of an official notification that as you all know, we are members of the Keystone Collaborative. They are purchasing a piece of property in Leominster to expand their programming. Currently, they're operating out of leased spaces for their school, for our students and students from other districts that are part of their programming. They're acquiring a piece of property in Leominster, and they're borrowing to do some improvements on that piece of property. As you know, as a member district, we are just required I'm on the Keystone board, just required to notify all of our school committees of this acquisition and of the fact that the collaborative is borrowing. I think there's a packet in the school committee drive. Did you put that in the drive that explains?
I can double check it.
Okay. There's a document in there that explains the process, but it's just a formal notification, that's all. And
Will that have a financial impact on our budget?
No. And one thing I didn't put in my report that I did want to, we have so many wonderful things that happen in the school district that I try not to actually report on specific events because I will never be able to report on everything that happens. So I just sort of don't report on those things because I know that you read about them and you'll see them on social media and the websites. But one thing that I know is very important to the school committee and is very important to me is our alternative high school. And we had 3 graduates last week who graduated from our alternative high school. This is the second graduating class this year. We had some graduates earlier this year. And I'm just very grateful that the committee took a risk in helping us start that program because it really has made a difference for a number of students that would likely have not been high school graduates if it weren't for that program. So we have an amazing staff. The middle high school team has been very creative in how we're making it all work. It doesn't look the same today as it did the first year that we started it, but it is, it's a wonderful program and it really helps students achieve a high school diploma when many of them would not.
Dr. Allen?
Yeah, we should know more about that.
Yeah.
Maybe November review and reform, if you would, please.
Got it.
Thank you.
And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you for your report.
Moving on.
I know we'll hear.
Colleen is next. Colleen and Joe.
So we will be super quick because I think that you were able to see firsthand some of the amazing things that are happening in our district. So I think the one thing I'd like to say about that is that the learning doesn't stop. So we are literally 3 days away from the end of the school year, and teachers and our students are still really, really engaged in lots of meaningful activities. Again, as Sheila said, it's hard to name everything that's going on, but you're aware of a lot of the large celebrations that happen. But we also have grade levels and classrooms and teachers that do small celebrations at the end of the year, just to make sure that their kids really feel special and know that they've grown and accomplished things. So I've included a few of those. The other thing I just want to call out is professional learning. So we're always talking about growing and learning our teachers. And last week we had the opportunity to attend a 2-day professional learning session. We partnered with Air Shirley, and 18 of our educators are interested in piloting a co-teaching model, which is really a model to support our students with disabilities, but actually really supports all of our students. So look forward to hearing that, more about that next year. But it's unheard of to have that many educators at the end of the year be willing to come out of their classroom to attend professional development. And they were so excited. Shelley was there. We had some administrators with us as well.
That's sort of the academic version of this track thing we see?
It's an instructional model in classrooms where you have a regular educator and a special educator who work together to deliver the same instruction. But you utilize the skills of the special educator and utilize the skills of the content teacher. So it really maximizes learning for students, and it's not just an extra body in the classroom.
Yeah.
You want to put that in November?
Please.
You got it. So we're super excited about that. We also have identified our professional learning for next year. And then the last thing I want to wrap up with is it will continue to be a very busy summer. All of our campuses are going to be incredibly busy. We have programs running everywhere. So as we've spoke about before, we did receive some of the grants that we had applied for to do STEM camps for our elementary students, our middle school students, completely free of charge for families. We also have a credit recovery program that we're going to be running this summer that we're going to fund through our ESSER funding. We just applied for our Acceleration Academy, which is the 1-week academy that happens 2 weeks before school starts. The idea of that is to take rising students and give them an experience into the grade level that they're going into. So it's really beneficial for our incoming kindergarten students. And we have a lot of new curriculum materials that we applied for grants for and we've received funding for. So next year, our teachers will have a lot of work around new curriculum, co-teaching, and we'll continue the work of culturally and linguistically responsive teaching.
We should hear about that too.
Sure. No, it's all super important.
Right.
The more we know about it, and the more I think
Yeah.
you can bring teachers in to talk to us about it, better for both of us.
We'd be happy to do that.
Director of Student Services is not here tonight.
But you have it outlined.
So, right, so I think she mentioned last time she was here that she is partnering with the Special Education Parent Advisory Council and participating in an institute called the Apple Institute. And it's really to help build the partnership between the district leadership and the CPAC leadership. And they've been attending meetings and Kristen's listed here for us the participants, CPAC leaders, as well as Julie Brewer and herself from the district. And they're building an action plan, and you can see there are 5 areas that they're focusing on in the action plan and some of the action steps. I know that the CPAC leadership is really working very hard to increase membership. It has been, it's a challenge to get, it's just families are very, very busy. And so to be engaged in the CPAC is something that many districts have challenges with having active participation but I know that it's one of their highest priorities to increase membership and to get more families involved. So I think you'll be hearing more from, I'm sure, the CPAC leaders in the upcoming months. Kristen mentions the extended school year programs. As Colleen mentioned, there's details there about Ruggles Lane is going to host extended school year for the elementary schools, and the middle high school will host secondary programs. And our post-grad program will be operating out of the New Braintree Grade School as well this summer. And she's been able to hire some new staff. We are, traditionally, we have been using a outside consulting, outside service providers for occupational and physical therapy. We decided to hire our own physical therapists and occupational therapists this year. So I know Kristen has been busy interviewing one. We have hired one occupational therapist, and we are hoping to bring one physical therapist and an additional occupational therapist on board very soon. And Ms. DeMarias is taking on English learner education as part of her responsibilities for future years and homeschool education. So that's not going to be under the Director of Student Services in the future. And she just put the dates of the subcommittee meetings. And I know there was a subcommittee meeting this evening, so I think there'll be a report on that later in the agenda. And Mr. Walsh.
I'm here. I have a pretty quick report. As Dr. Muir said, we're still waiting on some final revisions for the website. We have begun to populate some data of our own to the site. They just finished the elementary templates, so we hope to start working on those pretty soon. For the security system, we are awaiting a single camera change, and then the change order will be complete and the whole project should be complete. We were able to fill the open staffing position that we had since May, so we are fully staffed now, which is great. And today we began Chromebook collection at the middle high school. Over the next few days, we will collect approximately 1,100 Chromebooks from the students there, as well as all the Chromebooks from the students at the elementary school. And over the summer, we will go through all 2,500 devices, clean them, repair them, and get them ready for reissue in the fall. Since our last meeting, we've composed 208 user tickets for a total of 2,737 for the year. And that is all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
And Director of Administrative Services. So I will try to be brief. There's a lot of information for you in my report, but the first part of it, I'd like to read it so that I don't miss anything important. As you know, we posted the position of district treasurer after learning that our treasurer team would no longer be available to us. The interview committee, consisting of myself, the district's finance and accounting manager, Mrs. Scarry, our district treasurer, and our assistant treasurer, interviewed 4 candidates. The entire interview committee chose Mr. Ryan Malo of Orange as the strongest candidate. I believe this application was provided for you in your drive. Mr. Malo is currently the town treasurer in Warwick, Shutesbury, and Leverett. And he also was the district treasurer for the School Union 28, serving Irving, Leverett, Shutesbury, New Salem, and Wendell. I spoke with each of the town administrators that Mr. Malo currently works with, and his references are impeccable. It is without reservation that I recommend Mr. Ryan Malo to be appointed as Quabbin's next district treasurer. Our current treasurer team has agreed to work with him for a smooth transition. Due to state statute, only the district treasurer or assistant treasurer in a regional school district has access to bank accounts. No business office staff has that capacity. We strongly believe that there is a need to appoint an assistant treasurer as a backup to Mr. Malo. We have been very fortunate in the past to have our treasurer team of a treasurer and assistant treasurer working in the same CPA firm for 22 years, but that model is no longer available to us. After speaking with Dr. Muir about having an assistant treasurer be a member of the central office team, I recommend the school committee appoint Ms. Kerry Metcalf, our administrative assistant, as assistant treasurer. Ms. Metcalf is a business owner and has experience that makes us feel comfortable that she can fill in for any time Mr. Malo, if there is ever a need. He has guaranteed us there will never be a need, but you never know when you're going to get hit by a bus. After appointment by the school committee, if that so happens tonight, the next steps would be to apply for insurance bonds
get new signature cards for all of our bank accounts, of which there are 28, obtain and upload digital signatures, and provide training with current treasurer team. I expect a full transition on or around July 20th.
I move all the stuff she said.
Okay, so the treasurer would be Ryan Malo.
It's I hope I'm saying it correctly, Maillous.
Malo. And Kerry Metcalf as an assistant for backup purposes only.
Yes.
Okay. So moved. Second. Any further question, comment?
I just hope, Cheryl, that you won't be hit by a Quabbin bus.
That will never happen because Mrs. Metcalf is also our transportation coordinator, so that won't happen. If she hits him with the bus, then she's going to become a treasurer.
Okay, no further questions, roll call.
We need to do each one separately.
Oh, that's what okay. Treasurer for Ryan Malo.
Dr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Marsh,
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps,
Yes.
Mr. Willannon,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Garvey,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Nutter,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. And Kerry Metcalf as assistant treasurer on emergency basis.
Dr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Marsh,
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps,
Yes.
Mr. Willannon,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Garvey,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Nutter,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I am both excited and completely petrified of taking these next steps, but I'm sure that he will be very happy to get my phone call tomorrow morning.
Okay.
We don't want you to be bored.
Dr. Allen, I can't remember the last time I was bored in 22 years. The Buildings and Grounds report is available to you. It's very long, so you can just refer to that if you don't mind. On other news, our school nutrition director, Carrie Dubois Gould, has given us her notice. Her last day with the district will be on July 24th. We have posted the position. I believe it was posted about a week ago. There are only 2 applicants right now. And I provided for you the current breakfast and school participation through May 31st. Most of our schools, well, I'll read them. Middle high school for lunch is 67%, Hardwick 69, Hubbardston 65, Oakham 50, and Ruggles Lane 62. So those are very good participation rates for this year.
Well, Ruggles Lane's gone back up then, hasn't it? Weren't they quite low for a while?
I do not recall. I've also provided for you our grant report. Unfortunately, I struggle with copying and pasting into Google Docs. And then I send everybody's report awry. So I have to use this other technique which looks awful and you can't really see which is in bold, but grant number 117 is in bold, the Student Opportunity Act, 311, I am thinking it's supplemental SEL and behavioral health. And one more, the STOP grant are new this year, new for this month. And here's my warrant list.
Okay.
Payroll warrant biweekly number 24 and 25. Weekly payroll warrants 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50 were all released as of our last meeting. And please don't fall off to sleep when I read accounts payable because Nicole has been very busy. 76 FQ, 77A, 78B, 79H, 80A, 81B, 82B, 83 FU, 84A, 85 FQ, 86 FR, 87 FO, and 88B. That brings us up to today.
Good work, Dave.
Some of those warrants were signed at a kitchen table in Montreal.
So that is all that I have for tonight.
I checked them thoroughly, though.
Good.
Mr. Devine.
And no restriction?
Some updates for some things that we talked about last month. Our early college process is moving forward. We submitted a letter of intent to pursue early college designation with Worcester State University on June 5th. We held an informational session on June 14th that was originally scheduled to be June 7th to talk about the difference between dual enrollment and early college. And that was attended by about 20 people that evening. I've been in touch with some parents and kids after that. And part A of the application will be due August 25th. So I'll continue to work on that as we go through the summer with Worcester State. In terms of our developing relationship with Assumption University,
We talked about the fact that we have an opportunity for our 8th graders into 9th grade to participate in a program. We have 18 of our students that will participate in that program on June 27th and 28th. And we'd love to have them report to you in the fall. That really is a program to help 8th graders into 9th grade recognize that college is an opportunity for them. That college is something that they can access. We also, with Assumption University, we have signed a contract with them. The superintendent signed a contract with them, officially designating Quabbin Regional School Districts as a partner district with Assumption University, which will give our faculty and staff a reduction of 25% in tuition for graduate programs. And we'll share that information with them as we go into the fall. And for the post-grad support, one of the most exciting things that I've done in a while happened this past Saturday on June 10th, or last Saturday on June 10th, where we had a yard sale, a townwide yard sale that they sponsored over the course of the day. And they raised about $1,160 for the post-grad program. It gave them an opportunity to see what it would be to kind of do those kinds of things in terms of accessing a business or running a business. There was great support from the town of New Braintree for not just that program, but for everything that those post-grad kids have done all year long. And we got wonderful feedback from people in New Braintree about what it did for their community. Peggy, I'm sure you must have heard some things about how it went. That was something that was really the highlight of the year for a lot of those kids. Student access to mental health support and the business partnerships are pretty much the same. Student access to mental health, we looked into Massachusetts school-based telebehavioral health project that existed in some of the districts around us. And unfortunately, the state and federal funding for that program has been exhausted. And we've looked at some other ways to access telemental health for our students. And we continue to explore that in the hopes of being able to present something to you in the coming year that we may be able to offer to our kids. We find one of the biggest challenges for students in our district is access to mental health because of our geography. Kids are either driving a half an hour to 45 minutes away or they just don't go. So telehealth would be a wonderful thing for them. And that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes the
That
report.
concludes your report. Over the Director of Administrative Services, we have some items there. Cheryl?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have to get back into as is usual at this time of year, I came to you at our last meeting in May to ask for some budget transfer requests to move the budget around to get ready for closure. And what I ask at the end of each year is if you will give me the authorization to make the necessary transfers to close out the fiscal year 2023. With school being delayed by 6 days this June, it's a very tight schedule. Mr. Deschamps, hope not going anywhere. We have 7 payroll warrants to run in 2 weeks, so.
Be citing them from Hamptons next
The
week.
Hamptons? The Hamptons. Okay, well, at least you're there. So if I could ask the committee to authorize that. Thank you, Dr. Allen.
So moved to authorize the Director of Administration to make transfers to close the fiscal year 2023 budget. Seconded. Any further questions, comments? Roll call?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. O'Lannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Brophy?
Yes.
Thank you for that. My next request is an authorization to borrow in anticipation of funds for FY24. It's perfunctory that we do this at a reorganization meeting in June. We have not had to borrow a revenue anticipation note since the state started paying us our Chapter 70 on a monthly basis. Before that, it was given to us the last day of each quarter, which made it very difficult to pay payroll in September and very difficult to pay the lump sum payroll in June. But once they went to monthly payments, we have not had to borrow, but just in case we have to.
So moved as written?
No, not as written. May I read it, please?
Yes, you may.
Motion to authorize the Quabbin Regional School District Treasurer acting under the provision of Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Section 16G, as amended by Chapter 13, Section 4 of the Acts of 1972, and with the approval of the chairman of the district committee to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue. for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023. Please make that change in your.
Three.
And to issue a note or notes therefore payable within 1 year, and to renew any note or note as may be given for a period of less than 1 year in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 17.
It was motioned and a second?
Sure.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Allen? Yes. Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Down to the subcommittee reports. There's no administrative review, no audit, budget update. We've already taken care of that. No central office, collective bargaining.
Okay, before I submit, we put out the motions for the 5 contracts, the subcommittee had asked me just to quickly summarize in the public session and highlight some of the rationale and the goals that we had. So I just want to say that for all 5 contracts that are going to be presented for approval tonight, we negotiated with the employees in a way that would allow us to recruit and retain highly qualified employees, and also manageable within the current budget constraints, and to negotiate proposals that improve the financial efficiencies and stabilize the long-term finances of the district. The COLAs that we're asking you to approve tonight reflected a few things. First, the increase in the cost of living over the past 3 years that isn't really accounted for by the raises that we proposed, and the fact that these bargaining groups had agreed to a pretty low 3-year contract from 2000 to now. As I stated before, all the bargaining groups were very amenable to any modifications to their work environment through MOUs that were required by COVID. And that we had the COLAs that we have asked for you to approve are comparable to schools our size and the surrounding communities. And the reason why we are asking for 3 contracts to be 2 years in length and 2 contracts to be in 3 years in length is to spread out the work so that in the next contract cycle, it's going to be more efficient and allow especially the central office staff to be more focused and not have so much to process during that time. So given that, got them here. Including, I'm sorry, that's right, thank you. Including the teachers, the teachers, the paras, and the secretaries are 3 years. So, okay, so I guess, let me just start. Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Quabbin Regional School Committee ratify the tentative bargaining agreement with the Quabbin Regional custodians to begin July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, roll call.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Quabbin Regional School Committee ratify the tentative bargaining agreement with the Quabbin Regional Office Managers to begin July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Second, okay. Any further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
That was the office managers, okay. Dr. Allen? Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Brophy?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Quabbin Regional School Committee ratify the tentative bargaining agreement with the Quabbin Regional Nutrition Workers to begin July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025.
Second, okay. Any further questions? Roll call?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Wolanin?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Brophy?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Quabbin Regional School Committee ratify the tentative bargaining agreement with the Quabbin Regional Paraprofessionals to begin July 1st, 2023, and go through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Second, okay, any further discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Wolanin?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Quabbin Regional School Committee ratify the tentative bargaining agreement with the Quabbin Regional Secretaries to begin July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, seconded. Further questions? And roll call, please.
No, the second.
Can you just give me 1 second?
Oh, no problem.
The secretary's in here for whatever reason. Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Wolanin?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Okay,
That's it.
that's it?
That's it.
Okay, that's, any other final comment?
Just, I'd love to see the smile on Dr. Muir's face just now. He said it all.
While you're doing the report for collective bargaining, I think it would be appropriate, because on our item, we have the interim superintendent of schools contract. So I'd like to, well, hold on before we do that. You authorized a couple of weeks ago, the chair and the vice chair to sit down with our superintendent-elect, interim-elect, Colleen Muha, and we have come to an agreement. And we have I'd like to make a motion to approve Colleen Muha's interim superintendent contract, effective 7/1/2023 through 6/30/2024, superintendent for the Quabbin Regional School District.
Second. Oh, Dr. Allen.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
So you made the motion, Dr. Allen seconded?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Wolanin?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. On the committee, sorry, I'm just. No, the building and grounds,
Nothing.
policy and review, October, student services.
Yep. We just had a quick meeting tonight with Colleen and Jill and Shelley talking about the preschool. They gave us the numbers. They're starting out with the theory that we talked about for a couple of years to try to go with a full day kindergarten, preschool. So that's all we know for now, but they're working on it and sounds like a plan. It will be great. It'll be, can I say where it would be held? I wasn't supposed to say too much. They're working on it. I'll wait till Shelley's ready to present, right? Sure. Okay.
Okay.
It's exciting
Very. Absolutely.
and needed.
Technology,
Nothing additional to what Mr. Walsh had said.
okay. Ad hoc, again, what was going around too is our committee signups. So hopefully you stay involved with technology and hear from you over this potentially in the beginning of the year. Ad hoc school district configuration.
Nothing, but I hope you want me to.
Yes, I do, sir. Good, nothing at this time. Unfinished business, we have none. Is there any public comment?
That's not me.
No public comment? Okay, now school committee concerns.
Yeah, I apologize, but we're 3 hours in.
I know.
5 minutes isn't going to make a difference. And Sheila gets to hear
that's right,
my gripe of every 6 months. Every entity that presented earlier today is an example of our brand. It's an example of our brand. We see it. We don't see it every meeting, but we see it pretty often. And aside from us and the students and their parents and maybe a few other people, the rest of the world doesn't get to see it. And it's bothered me for years that our brand doesn't get out there. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't always get out there, because I think this year, the post-grads really had a lot of publicity, from washing the fire trucks, back in September. I think it was the first Barry Gazette of the school year, to the yard sale. And, you can't say you can do that with everything, but that's the kind of thing, we need to see. Somehow we need to push this. We know the ROTC, we know what ROTC does. We know what our music department does, but a lot of the other people don't. And I'm not saying the school people, it's the people that aren't involved in the school. And I like to think that, who would know, but maybe if some of this was out there more, maybe Hubbardston would have been a little more positive in their approach. And I don't have any answers. When we go to these meetings at the Cape, there's almost always a seminar on that.
Yes.
And nobody can say this is the way to do it. People have tried different things, and I know different approaches, but I think our brand needs to get out there. I really do.
How much were those ads that Therese was doing that we got cut this year?
They cost about, I think it was $16,000. $16,000.
You got half a green.
No, for the year. Half of it was paid for, or some of it was paid for by a grant from the Barry Savings Bank Foundation. But we didn't have that funding this year, and so we decided, we just couldn't continue it. But that doesn't mean that we can't put articles in the Barry Gazette. The problem is that we just, and it is, you see that as part of our strategic plan. And one of our first steps is developing that communication protocol that we will use to make sure that we do more of that. I think the website will help tremendously because that's where many, many people get their news. That website will automatically feed all of the social media. So our Facebook page and our Twitter feed and all of those things. But, and we've tried to get students involved. It's been really difficult with the trimester schedule. Our students, we don't have a journalism class that runs consistently every trimester. We don't have student interns necessarily. I know Mr. Devine's been trying to get a student intern that is interested in helping us with that type of thing, but we just have not been really successful at that. So it is something that we recognize is something that needs to be worked on and continue to build, because it is a gap for sure.
Part of my thought is mercenary, because I'm thinking as much of the 15 towns outside of Quabbin that send a lot of students to us.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that send more students to us.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? School committee concerns? Peg.
I wish I had said kudos to Tony Brown about taking the kids around the district on Wednesday. It was an all-day affair from 7:15 to 5:30. Well, no, it ended probably at 7 up here at Quabbin. I was amazed at how well it was run by her and keeping them all in tow at each school. I drove to each school and all the kids were kept in tow, but they were exhausted. I was amazed.
Or is.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that? Well, I know.
Good point.
True. But I should have said it when she was here, but what a nice job, above and beyond, really.
She's done that many times.
Yeah. Yes.
4 or 5 years ago, we were in such great, and she pitched in and she had this idea about the violins and Trumpets, I think, was it? Just.
We're very lucky to have her.
Oh, yes.
We certainly are.
Anyone else?
Look at me.
I already know. I just want to just kind of say thank you for everything in your leadership. And my gosh, I know that's not a great phrase, but what you had to deal with, what we all had to deal with March of 20, and what we did for schools, for kids, and for us to stay in school, and for kids to attend, and to hear districts not doing that. We could have had a superintendent that could have said, not going to do it. I'm going to be too cautious. You asked your staff asked, please make sure we're safe. They asked us, please help us be safe. And you did. So I just got to say, thank you. We will miss you, and you are here to help. You'll be available, you said, if and when needed. So that is something correct?
Yes.
Okay, wanted that on record.
I'm putting that right in the minutes.
Unequivocally.
So
It's really.
your last words.
It's been my honor to serve the Quabbin Regional School District and our communities and our students. And I really just want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to do that. Quabbin is just a really wonderful and special place. And, I'm going to quote Luke from earlier this evening, a leader is not a leader without a team. And when I say team, I mean everyone, every single human being who works in this school district, and even some who don't. Our bus drivers don't work for us, but they're part of our team. They're here for the kids, and that makes the job of a superintendent easy in a way. Yeah, we have to, I have to make tough decisions sometime, but I know every single day that everyone comes here for the right reasons, including our school committee. And so it's just been a real honor for me. And although I'm looking forward to retirement, I'm also very sad to leave. So thank you.
You can explain that retirement to me. I'm going to have to face it.
Says the 45-year.
50
on 50? Yeah. Almost 50. 50 years. So,
Will we adjourn?
adjourn. Is there a second? Adjourn and adjourn.